Hey everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, hello. My name is Learn the Conjurer, and I am your host of all things spooky, creepy, weird, and fun. And today, we're gonna have some crafting fun. Also, I'm gonna blind you with my highlight. Pow! Anyway, this is another Conjuring the Craft video segment where I show you a little bit of a DIY that gives you spooky vibes as well as kind of teaches you a little bit about a weird thing. If you watched my last video, I asked some of you to comment down below what scares you the most. And I am still taking scare requests. So if you want to go ahead and pop over to this video right here, I think that's where it is, feel free to leave a comment on what terrifies you. And I will cover that fear in a future video. Okay, so what is today's craft project? I don't know. Tell us what it is, Learn. Thank you, Dita, for stopping in today. Today's creepy craft project is a candle covering. I feel like the term candle covering is kind of broad, but basically what we're doing is we are transforming the exterior of a candle to look like something different and more decorative. There's a lot of different styles out there for what you could do, but for this video, what I am doing is I am actually using some LED candles. This one is like super duper misshapen. I totally left it in my car. Oops. Which is a great reason to do a candle covering. And the candle covering that we are designing today is primarily made of, wait for it, sticks! Yes, indeed, for the low price of just having a relatively grown tree in your yard, you too can make this candle covering. Basic supplies you're gonna need are obviously sticks, so go outside and go pick some. A hot temperature glue gun. Please don't judge this, this is so, it's been used a lot. Hot temp glue sticks. And it's kind of optional, but I will be using yarn that's decorative as well as jute and a little bit there it is, embroidery floss, that's what it's called. And to kind of bring a little bit of a spring vibe to my witchy candlesticks, I am using just a little bit of floral pieces that I picked up and I throw everywhere, that I picked up from the Dollar Tree. Remember, Ghosties and Ghoulies, I am not an expert in anything I'm talking about, nor am I an expert in what I am doing in front of you. Now, you might be wondering what the creepy thing is that we're going to be talking about while I create this with you. Well, it all started with Neek Da Geek suggesting in my previous video that he was afraid of heights. Heights always scared him. I know that he isn't the only person out there that's terrified of heights. I think that that's a pretty common fear that a lot of people have. I started to look up why people were afraid of heights. Some people would argue that it's an evolutionary fear, but I also started to research into it to see if maybe I could find some relatable stories as to why people were afraid of heights, or if there happened to be any scary story that went along with a height travesty. And in my research, so weird, I found this myth. This myth is simply titled Madagascar's Legendary Man-Eating Tree. Ooga booga! Does this make you nervous? Okay, before I start getting into man-eating tree vibes, I want to explain to you what I've been doing with these sticks. First did was I actually separated out my sticks from sizes. So really I was looking for thickness, not necessarily length. So in this case, I'm using, I would call some medium thick pieces of a branch that I picked up. And what I want to do is I just want to kind of eye it. I'm going to take and pick up a few, line them up against the candle. Oh, not like that. Now, my candle has some faux wax exteriors to it that doesn't seem like it would take hot glue very well. It would actually just run off the candle, so I kind of don't want to use that just on its own to glue sticks to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be taking some Scotch tape and I'm just going to be going around the entirety of the candle so that when I lay my glue down, it has something to attach to. I don't want to cover my candle in tape. I really just kind of want to concentrate on the bottom, the middle, and then at the top. You're not really going to see this because you're going to be covering it all with sticks and flowers and all sorts of stuff, right? So don't worry about it necessarily not being even. Also, you may not have to do this depending upon what kind of candle you are using. If you're maybe using glass, I don't think you need to use this. But for those of us that have wax or wax-like exteriors, you may want to use it. And then when you're ready, once you've kind of picked out a spot for your first stick, go ahead and lay down your glue just in a strip all the way down. Make sure obviously to cover those spots that you used for your tape, and then just place the stick right over it. Be careful not to burn your fingers. I don't feel my fingers anymore because I'm dead. Okay, so you should have something like that. Literally repeat until you are entirely all around your candle. Research kind of showed me that there were a few different dates of where this legend started. Some say 1857, some say 1881. But either way, this legend was started by a German explorer named Karl Leech. I'd also like to reaffirm that I am not very good at pronouncing things. So if I do mispronounce anything, I don't mean to offend anyone. But if you do know the proper pronunciation of something, feel free to kindly let me know. Karl had claimed, we're gonna call him Karl, like he's our friend. Karl had claimed that after traveling to Madagascar, which at the time was not really traveled, he had come across a native tribe that would sacrifice their fellow tribe members to this mysterious man-eating tree. Karl's account got so popular that it actually made it into the South Australian Register, where his entire encounter was quoted. To loosely quote Karl, he claimed that as he watched a sacrifice ritual happening, he saw that the plant began to open up with tentacle-like extremities. Ugh. And that its long limbs turned serpent-like, and when a sacrifice was presented, it would laugh. Mother Nature doesn't play, but when a plant starts laughing at you, guy, time to bounce. He would claim that the plant would then strangle and ultimately wrap in entirety the sacrifice until finally there was no more to be heard or seen. It sounds pretty brutal. And back then, I think people had a way to kind of convince others that because they traveled to this new and exotic land that had different beings from them, being people, sure, but apparently not the same as them. Obviously, there had to be some kind of crazy monster that lived in these godforsaken places. People took Karl's word for fact, thinking that there was indeed a monstrous man-eating tree on the other side of where they were. You know what's so funny? I just realized this. They just took Karl's word for it, like, yeah, no problem, dude. Yeah. Giant man-eating plant, yeah, that laughs at you, yeah, whatever you say. Oh, good sir. But then you had fishermen that were coming back from their excursions and would claim that they saw a giant squid, and they were told, "You're wrong, my good fellow, let's have a brandy." Somebody believed some jabroni about a man-eating tree. Meanwhile, I saw a giant squid nearly take down my entire ship. I would be so mad. Okay, anyway, back onto the subject. People were taking this story as fact and that it actually was a real thing. And then some guy named Chase Osborne, we're going to call him Chase because he's our buddy too. Chase writes a book called Madagascar, Legend of the Man-Eating Tree. Like, don't come to Madagascar for anything else. Only come for the man-eating tree. You'll be disappointed otherwise. But in his book, he even said that the tree was in fact real, and that not only did the villagers, that the tribe of people that Mr. Karl had said that he saw and knew about and sacrificed to it and all of that, but also apparently other tribes that lived on Madagascar knew about the tree, as well as passersby and explorers. Again, nobody doubts this tree, because after all, it's in writing. Why would you doubt something that someone wrote?
Hello, everyone. Recording Learn the Conjurer here to find out midway through editing this episode that, surprisingly, my microphone stopped working. So, no, there is not a problem with your current YouTube set. That is, in fact, me carrying on like nothing is wrong, unbeknownst to past Learn, that her microphone is dead. I got a new one, so I'm still getting used to it. I apologize, but the show must go on. Let's continue to talk about this man-eating tree and what's been going on with it while you watch me figure out how to finish this craft and hopefully pantomime to you what else you need to do. So at this point, we've learned that many people believed in this tree throughout the entire time this was discussed through 1800s, and nobody ever once dismissed it as perhaps being a myth or just a simple legend. Well, as a matter of fact, it only took a little bit of time to go by before someone would inevitably reveal that the man-eating tree of Madagascar was in fact a hoax. I know! The audacity of this bitch! Okay, so here's the thing. Mr. Chase Osborne, who wrote this book, made up everything. The man-eating tree, the tribe that supposedly sacrificed to it, including the German explorer, our friend Karl. So this entire time, how this managed to get into a newspaper is probably just an example of what's called mass hysteria. Who knows? I'd love to know your theories on why you think people believed in this back then. But I guess we can all agree that when news spreads like wildfire, people can get pretty passionate, right? So, thanks so much for watching this video. Again, so sorry that it ended in this way, but as you can see, this tutorial is pretty easy to follow. So if you end up doing this, please tag me on Instagram. You can follow me at learn_the_conjurer. And I would love to see your wonderful creation. Until then, ghosties and ghoulies, never play alone, never play in a graveyard, and always say goodbye.